Today's show brought to you by the print issue of Press Box, which is available wherever you find Press Box around town, all your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. It's free. Kevin Brown. I wish we could have done Kevin Brown in the Hawaiian shirt on the cover. That would have been better. But this is still pretty good. Kevin Brown, Orioles play-by-play voice on the cover. Go get that right now or read it at PressBoxOnline.com. This man is a media mogul. He has taken over Baltimore media. You're now going to be hearing him afternoons over on 105.7 The Fan on The Final Drive with Ken and Tim. He's been writing the Lamarticles over at Baltimore Beatdown. He is Super Bowl 35 champion and our friend, Mr. Femi Ayanbadejo, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing good, man. How's it going? How are you?
I'm great, man. Summer's been amazing. I hope your summer's been wonderful. You're really. How do you have time for all of this? How do you have the ability to do another 4 hours a day on top of everything else that you're doing in your life, brother?
Man, I just, you know what? That's actually a good question, but I figured it out.
Okay.
Obviously I haven't done it every day yet, but I'm pretty confident I'll be able to handle the workload. I'm an early riser. I go to bed fairly late as well. So yeah, if I'm not doing a bunch of stuff, I don't feel like I'm being productive. So, I enjoy writing, and a lot of this stuff is well thought out in advance, right? Like none of it's on a whim, right? So I've been taking my time back from other things that I was doing kind of in the digital health and consulting space, which was a big part of my business since grad school. And I've really been, moving more toward my passion projects, which is digital health and sports media. I consider myself obviously like a freelance, analyst when it comes to sports and mainly the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is always to kind of live at the intersection of, analyst, athlete, admirer of sports and the athletes and the leadership, as well as and someone who thinks accountability is important as well. I think I can hold all four of those thoughts simultaneously and let them guide me in a way that, verifies information, that doesn't get in the head of the individual that I speak of. I'm respectful and thoughtful. And if I don't know, I don't know. And if I triangulate something, that I state it. Hey, this is my thoughts. I triangulated this. I've heard this from certain people and certain things. I'll only share what I'm supposed to and not what I'm not supposed to. And I'll never make anything up. Like, that's the most important thing. I feel like the journalistic line that journalists have always touted as verification and thoughtfulness and not being first, but, being factually driven. And then you have the content creator side. And I think all that stuff is blurred now, and you look at what's out there in the ether, online, streaming, and on TV, and it's a lot of opinions and not verified. Everyone's got their hot take, and they make it pretty easy for me in regard to the lane that I want to live in, because there's so much stuff is just made up, in my opinion,
I understand that, Femi. I understand. This part of it, though, like doing it this way, why we talked about this because last time you were on, you were talking Orioles with us, and I know that's what you've been doing. You've been doing the shows with Bruce. Why did it interest you to do it this way as a talk show host instead of, to your point, as a football analyst, as the doing the color for the games, when you were doing that? Why was it interesting to you to do it this way, to talk about other topics, things that maybe aren't just Ravens, NFL, things along those lines?
Yeah, I think that sometimes it's the path of least resistance. A number of positive things just kind of align themselves, and it wasn't like how sometimes when you're really grasping hard for something, the momentum of that grasp pushes the thing that you want further away from you. In this situation, I kind of let it come to me a bit. Could I have done streaming and, maybe a podcast and gone another route? Yeah, potentially. But this is the opportunity that seemed the most enticing. It feels good to be wanted. And I took kind of a slower, less of an aggressive approach with it. And I love being I do enjoy having a microphone in front of me, because the way that I look at it is I'm just talking to my friends about like what's happening in the sports world, whether it's the micro, picture of what's happening today or this week, or what happened in the past, or what I see going forward. It comes to me very easily. So yeah, that's kind of how we ended up here. I wish I had a better,
No, I
more
get it.
kind of a epiphany-driven response. But yeah, sometimes the path of least resistance and opportunity and outreach and collaboration, it kind of puts you in a certain place. This is where I am.
The final drive, 2 to 6 every afternoon over on 105.7 The Fan, starting today with Femi, Tim, and Ken. Femi's with us here on GCR.
Starting Wednesday.
Oh,
I start Wednesday, by the
Sorry,
way.
Femi. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all
I'll
good.
get it right.
No, you're
It
good.
starts
You're
on
good. You're
Wednesday
good.
then. That's the day that it starts.
Yep.
As I mentioned, we were talking Orioles the last time, and I've seen some of what you posted on Twitter, particularly about the pitching staff, and obviously right now the pitching staff is carrying the Orioles at the moment, and I'm in this weird place, Femi, because I worry that they're kind of chasing the dragon a little bit. That yes, they're only 2.5 games out, but boy, we've got over 100 games worth of evidence about the imperfections of this offense, to say the least, in an outfield that's not producing. And could it click at some point? I guess. I don't know that the pitching staff can get better than what it's been right now. I am starting to lean more towards I don't know, it feels a little bit like you're chasing something if you're aggressive at the deadline that isn't real. I don't know that I see it, and I really do also wonder if maybe the better play is if Trevor Rogers is going to tell you he's not signing until he gets to free agency. He is really valuable right now. It's a very easy thing for me to say and more difficult for an organization to do it, but it just, I don't know, it feels kind of fool's gold to me right now to try to be aggressive at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there was a stretch there where I think the O's won like 10 out of 14. And then obviously they had, what was the 7-game win streak, right?
Mm-hmm.
On
either side of the break.
I think when things, yeah. I feel like when things come together, you feel like this team has a high ceiling, but then we're reminded about the defensive woes and where the bullpen is and the injuries and the inability to drive, matriculate runners around the base paths and the inability. And there's been stretches where we're hitting with runners in scoring position has been good. But some of the guys that you want doing it consistently that should be doing it just aren't. You know what I mean? And then you kind of look at what's happened with Blaze Alexander, that injury. He and Brandon Young have been like my 2 MVPs, the guys that, I've latched on to, because when I started really, really, really diving in and paying attention, those are the 2 guys that I was like, Brandon Young, Blaze Alexander needs to be playing every day, and Brandon Young is a number 3 guy in the rotation right now. Like, that should just be stated and a known thing. We shouldn't be afraid to lean into that and say that, hey, these guys have exceeded expectations to some degree, and they deserve that credit. And they deserve to kind of maybe even feel comfortable about what the rest of the season looks like for them. I mean, I'm sure if Blaze was healthy, he'd be in there, at third base. I would think 80% of the time, 75% of the time. But I can't disagree with you on where you feel, how you feel about the Fool's Gold. I mean, right now their playoff chances are 19%, and that's the third wild card spot. I get it. But based on where Mike Elias is, and would we agree that his seat's a little bit hot? Would we agree on that?
I would say that, but obviously every time we hear from David Rubenstein over the weekend, glowingly speaking of Mike Elias, and you and I both know that, an owner's never going to say to his general manager who's in the position, I don't know about this guy. I get it. I just don't know enough about his contract extension when he was named president to know what the appetite would be for this ownership group to make a move at the end of the year either way.
Yeah, I think what we can say is that regardless of what the ownership has said, and we understand that if we're just looking at this, and forget it's the Orioles, if it's any organization, we'd say, you know what, do we have the right guy in the right place? I think it's a fair question, right? It's just a fair question.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I would say that, is it 3 games out of the wild card right now?
2.5, amazingly.
2.5. Okay, 2.5. Okay, yeah, they're 2.5. So to me, you kind of got to fight your way through it. I don't think being complacent and sitting back and assuming that you're like, if I'm, and look, this is perfect, Glenn. This is me taking my medicine and giving you the example.
Mm-hmm.
If I am Mike Elias, I have never spoken to Mike Elias. I do not know the man at all. I can't speak to his tendencies or some anecdote about a conversation. I don't have that. But what I can say is that I can imagine myself in his shoes. And if my seat was hot and we're 2.5 games out of the wild card, our starting pitching, which to me, starting pitching wins championships. I look at starting pitching the same way I look at NFL defenses. That's how you win championships, right? In the trenches. And so I think the starting pitching has been really, really good as of late. You got Rogers, you got Boz, obviously you got Brandon Young, you got Bradish. I mean, these dudes have been looking really well. Now, run support hasn't always been there. The defense hasn't always been there. Running the bases hasn't always been there. Hitting with runners in scoring position hasn't been there. But you've seen glimpses of it at certain times, right? So glass half full, I'm going to do whatever I can to get this team at least into the third wild card spot. That might secure my job. That might give me more opportunities going forward. And plus, it would just be a huge feather in his cap probably. Now, obviously, that's me looking at a very short time horizon. That's looking at where we are right now and navigating the injuries. I understand that there's a bigger lens than that, and some people may choose to look at a bigger lens. O's fans that have been O's fans since birth, they're probably not even hearing anything I'm saying right now, and I totally get it. But I'm only coming from a perspective of should they be buyers or should they be sellers? And the way that I operate, I'm always a buyer until I'm forced to sell. That's how I look at it.
I think that is like it's awkward because I'm saying that I wouldn't. But Femi, what you just said is to I think that's what we really do want organizations to operate with. Hey, if you have a chance, go take that chance and go do it.
Yep. Yep.
I'm just so skeptical about what that chance really is that it makes it difficult for me, Glenn Clark, on the other side. Femi,
well, I think one more thing, Glenn. I think every year, and especially in recent history, I feel like I remember Arizona doing this, and maybe Cleveland has done it. I don't have the data in front of me, but these teams that just go on these crazy runs at the end of the year, and because I'm a National League West guy, I'm a Giants fan. Like I've seen like Arizona make a crazy run to the World Series. And once again, I'm not saying the O's can make a crazy run to the World Series, but teams make late runs and they make the playoffs.
Well, even the Rangers team they lost to that year was
the Rangers.
Was
exactly.
Yeah.
It was the Rangers, and exactly. So my point is that no one can tell me that the O's aren't talented. They're talented. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think they're talented. Now, are they consistent? No, that's kind of why they are where they are. Is the American League consistent? No. That's kind of why they are where they are. Is the run differential good enough? It's negative. No, it's not good enough. And some of the self-inflicted wounds aren't good enough either, right? And I understand that. But it just takes, like, can you imagine if Gunnar, I think Gunner's issues between his ears, the dude's one of the most talented guys in baseball, top 10 guy, top 20, however you want to look at it. Does it click for him at a certain point here? I like where the rotation is. Obviously, I think you need a couple arms in the bullpen to really solidify a playoff run and get that third wild card spot. But me personally, I don't care, like 10%, 20%, whatever it is. You're 2.5 games out of the third wild card spot. Like I can hone in on that number. I just believe that you have to go for it. And if it costs you your job, so be it.
Femi, the Ravens obviously kicking off training camp this week. They make a move late last week, and I haven't even had a chance to talk about it yet because I was off, but Chris Moore is one of my favorite human beings on the face of the planet. A lot of people know my history with Show Your Soft Side, and he has been like such a champion for animals. I love that dude. He is a great special teamer, like a great special teamer, and has proven in Washington recently that he probably had more to offer as a receiver than I think a lot of people ever realized he did early on in his career. That said, while I'm thumbs up on Chris Moore, I think it's the flip side of that is it's telling us the Ravens were not swimming in the deepest end of the receiver waters, which you and I have talked about before. I think you and I were in agreement, like that we weren't going to panic if they didn't, that, we thought they could, but it wasn't the end of the world. Are you good with the group of pass catchers they're putting out there?
Yeah, I was good before they signed Chris Moore, and I'm fine with Chris Moore as well. Like, I don't see any reason to have any acrimony or negativity around signing Chris Moore. Like, what did you want? I've thrown the name Keenan Allen and Deebo Samuel out there, but I think when you bring in guys with names like that, now you're challenging young receivers for time and opportunity. And I don't think that's the message that they wanted to send. I don't think I can think of a time in recent history when I was so high on the ceiling for this receiver room. I know they're unknown commodities. I know Declan is an unknown commodity. I know that Posick with his injury is an unknown commodity. But I trust my judgment. And once again, my ability to sanely and objectively look at where this team is going, looking at the history of these kids when they were in college, how the Ravens in general tend to move talent and prepare guys to be NFL players. Obviously, what I'm talking about is more organizational. There's a bunch of new coaches in the building, so I don't know them personally, nor can I speak to the efficacy of their ability to draft and prepare players to be successful. But Elijah Surratt and Jacoby Lane, in my opinion, are two really, really talented receivers. And I look at, Tez and Zay, and I look at just and Bate, right? And I look at the variance in skill sets. And I feel like this is the most diverse room they've ever had. Yes, we can all say that there's questions, but I feel like the ceiling on what these guys can do collectively gets me really excited. And then remember, we have the tight end room. I'm really big on him and really happy about. And Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and this offensive line, we've seen Lamar do more with less. Let's be real. You know what I mean? And so I just don't think that people take into account, this is Femi's analysis, right? This is me triangulating what I think matters most. You can only have 5 skill guys on the field at one time. That's it. You only have 5. So all the receivers are not going to be out there at once. You're going to have a mix of position groups and different packages that have to play together and understand what the objectives are. But as long as the offensive line is protecting Lamar, and I think this line is going to be mauling, and Lamar is healthy and Derrick is healthy, I think, and Zay, obviously, Zay had a great year last year, and the Ravens still ended up 8-9. My point is that everything runs through the fronts, and that's not just a Ravens thing, that's an NFL thing. But I do believe that the Ravens did the things that they needed to do to shore up their front seven, to shore up this offensive line, and to make sure we don't forget what we do here. We stop the run, we run the ball, and we want to do our best to not hurt ourselves. In the past, we've always said, like, hey, this is what we're going to do. You know what we're going to do, and we dare you to stop us. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think with Jesse as technically calling plays and Declan calling plays, I think there's going to be a lot more deception, disguise, and things that look like what they're going to do, but they're going to be running different things off of that. I think that's going to be the change.
I like the sounds of that big time. Femi, before I let you go, you want to tell everybody about Pickpool?
Yeah, you know what? So Pickpool is a company that I formed a number of years ago. We are living at the intersection of kind of fantasy, prop bets, and player performance. Super easy. Go to pickpool.com, or you can actually just go into your the App Store, and it's PIQPOOL. We got a bunch of free pools that are up for people in the state of Maryland. So literally, it's free money. Somewhere between $20 and $50 of free money. We have a couple of NFL pools up. Season-long NFL passing touchdowns, week 1 rushing yards, week 1 passing yards, and also a UFC pool is up as well. And a couple of those are free, by the way. So yeah, give it a spin. I'm really happy with that.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, do it, brother. Let me know what you think.
Let me know what you think. I absolutely am in. Femi, you know this. I've told you this before. You are insanely good at this. I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for Ken and Tim. Because this is going to add a lot to what they've been doing. Can't wait to hear you, brother. It all starts on Wednesday. The final drive afternoons over on The Fan. Go get them. Appreciate you. You know we'll be talking to you, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, brother.
Love you, buddy. Femi Ayanbadejo, Super Bowl champion. Appreciate him taking the time for us, and happy for him on the new gig.